Hello everybody, welcome to the 2026 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We're here in the delightful and sunny Misano for the first race meeting of our season. Everybody is so excited to be a part of this once again for another campaign, and what a better place to start than in the east of Italy. I am very delighted though to tell you that we have a new presenter with us for this season. I'm delighted to welcome to the paddock Louise Schofield, who's going to be joining us.
Hello.
Louise, great to have you.
How are you? It's absolutely wonderful to be here. The sun is shining and I've already got a sheer force of what it's like for those trucks to pass you. It's my first time right here on the pit and wow, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a great season, I think.
Absolutely. We've been thrown straight into the deep end, haven't we? As soon as we arrived here on Friday, we were right into it, recording content, interviews and all sorts. Yes. There's obviously a much more broad content plan for the season, but we're going to take it hands-on, aren't we?
Absolutely. And I think there's so many wonderful people here as well, and there's so many wonderful companies and partners that come into this, and I think that's what's really cool, that you can shout about all of that stuff, and it's great to learn how and what makes these trucks work, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the course of the season we'll be doing a lot of learning together, obviously, about the championship, how it all works. We want to be bringing a much broader audience to truck racing and show them exactly what the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship has to offer. But yeah, like I've said, what a place we're in, hey? Misano, it's just been glorious since we arrived.
It really has. It absolutely. We've got the factor 50 on today, I think, and I'm sure everybody who's getting ready to watch, everyone looks very excited in the pit and outside as well. Everyone's been very excited. So there's definitely an atmosphere, and we're just getting started, aren't we?
Yeah, it's great to see somebody else buzzing about the fact that, I mean, everybody that's listened to me commentate over the last 5 years has known that it's all about the people in this paddock. You know, there's so many wonderful people here, and everyone from just the teams, even just to the spectators as well. There's such a great vibe around everything involved with truck racing, such a friendly paddock. You'll see drivers and teams walking around together. We went to a barbecue with Jochen Hahn and his team last night.
Yes.
Unreal. But yeah, there's lots of great faces to meet, and obviously a lot of names to remember, isn't there?
There is, absolutely. I'm you've introduced me to a lot of people, so I've shook a lot of hands while I've been here, which has been fantastic. And I'm sure there's more to shake, actually. Yeah. So I'm sure I'll do a lot of handshaking today as well, I'm sure.
And you met someone very important from the FIA yesterday as well, didn't you?
I did. Marek Novoretsky told us all about what is coming up in the FIA and what the involvement is going to be like this year. It's very much more hands-on. We're entering a brand new era for the FIA. Now, can you, Marek, tell us a little bit about what that all entails this year?
Yes, it's about truck racing. Truck racing is very unique as a motorsport discipline. It's unique also for FIA. It's about the most powerful vehicles we have on the track. We can see in very engaged well, competing together in the track with a very tight competition. It's about a very strong fan base of people who are engaged, who are very close to the teams, and also closely linked with all the transportation industry. And it's about the motorsport, of course. So the most important, the level of competition, which is very high. But we don't forget that what is important in that is also the technology which is around that, is the sustainability, and these are all the areas that FIA is strongly engaged.
Absolutely. And how has it changed over the season? So the involvement this year, how is it different to previous seasons?
So, in fact, it is the continuation of what has been done in the past for this competition, for this amazing group of people who are there to develop this competition. But we try to bring it to another level of the promotion, another level of the engagement, and also promoting the truck racing as a true motorsport in the very modern way. So today, FIA is not only responsible for the regulations in truck racing, but also about the organization, about the partnerships, and also responsible for the development of this discipline. So all the team is very committed for that, and we are looking forward to this season.
It's going to be a very exciting season. And how is it for you kind of seeing it grow as well and kind of becoming this bigger thing every year?
Yes, truck racing gets bigger and bigger. So we heard that here today in Misano we will have more fans coming to watch the race compared to the previous year. We expect to have more engagement also in the other races. We have more and more competitors, new trucks on the grid. So all that means that development is still ongoing. But also on the technology part and sustainability, we have new features features this season. We have the sustainable and renewable components in the Goodyear tires, which has been implemented this year. The new level of performance with the new definition of the tires. Then still Total Energy is with us, providing 100% biofuel, which is very important for the sustainability of the series, and many others.
Absolutely, and it's all going to kick off this weekend, which is very exciting. So here we go. Thank you very much, Marek. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. It was so good to get the insight on that as well, because as someone who's brand new to this, it was really exciting to not only see how it's been done in the past, but what is going to be coming up for this season. So I'm very excited to get in. It was great insight from Marek as well. The qualifying round is just about to take place. I am so excited. I'm going to shoot you over to Chaz, who's going to be taking you further with the commentating now.
Very much, Louise. Fantastic to be in place here at Misano, and well, I'm going to have to get used to running up those stairs for the rest of the weekend. Hello, everybody. It is so good to be back for the 2026 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. As you can see, the weather here at the moment is, as we say in the UK, cracking the flags. It is absolutely baking here at Misano at the moment. There's barely a cloud in the sky, but there's a wonderful crowd forming around the circuit for this first round of the championship. But obviously, before we get towards any racing, we have to have qualifying to set the grid. Let's have a look at the track itself, though, here at Misano. It's a big challenge for these drivers. Originally, it was designed for motorbike racing, so to throw trucks around here is quite brave, we must admit. We've got 16 corners. It's just over 4 kilometres in length. The double right-hander up at Rio, Variante del Parco, very, very difficult part of the circuit. But even the actual Misano corner, the final corner of the circuit, very important as well to get that run down the start-finish line. And then Curvone on the back of the straight is, well, it's certainly an eye-opener to see the trucks steaming their way down there at 100 miles an hour. Obviously, the trucks are governed to 100 miles an hour. If they exceed 160 kilometers an hour for over 2 seconds, they will receive a penalty. They are not allowed to exceed that speed, and it's all GPS tracked, so we have to make sure that our good friend Andrea Pitaro in the sensors certainly keeps an eye on things and makes sure everyone is in check, with Michael Marek up there, Tony Idden as well from the FIA. Some wonderful people here at Race Control. It's been great to get the season back underway and get everybody together once again. Seems like as soon as Louise and I arrived on Friday, it was just constant shaking hands, saying hello to everybody, introducing everyone, and yeah, it just once again reminds you how much of a great paddock we have. So fans are making their way to the best vantage point for this qualifying session. Obviously, a good vantage point in the shade as well, because it is red hot here at the moment. As you saw on the track layout, 26 degrees Celsius right now, the air temperature. It is mighty warm, but it's also very humid as well, actually. There's a lot of moisture in the air, so certainly make sure that it's sticky. That's how we would describe it in the UK. But there are trucks on screen for the first time this season. We have Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, Rene Reiner, Antonio Albacete making their way towards the end of the pit lane. And then Sasha Lenz. Sasha actually importantly changing back to the number 30 for this season. The team has always been known as SL Truck Sport 30, but he now makes it to the number 30 once again. He was running the number 3 on the truck for the last couple of seasons as he finished 3rd in the championship. A number of the drivers run their sort of finishing number from the season before. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez as well in the Rebo Canort number 38. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do, even if that means doing a 3-point turn to get out of the end of the pit lane. Let's not forget, they are still trucks at the end of the day. They may be purpose-built racing machines, but they are still trucks above all else. John Newell, back again. He was recently racing at the Hockenheimring in his truck with Stefan Fass and with Sasha Lenz. They were competing in another championship. John really happy, actually. I had a quick catch-up with him yesterday afternoon, and he was really pleased, very confident, really happy about the fact that they could just get some testing in at all with the new truck. They've obviously had to rebuild and redevelop. There's a brand new truck this season as well from the Clemens Hecker team, Hecker Racing 25. They have a new truck named Alva for this season. Minna is the sort of reserve truck for them this season. Bradley Smith there in the middle of your shot. He's an important one to keep an eye on as well. That number 46 machine is actually an ex-Antonio Albacete truck as well, so we know that being prepared by T-Sport Bernau, that's a very, very good machine. Green flag flies on the 2026 season, and everybody will make their way out of the end of the pit lane, and we will get our first qualifying session underway. We'll go over the format, of course, for you once again. We get 15 minutes for this first session, and all the trucks go out on track for this one, and the top 12 times then go through into what we call Q2. They then get a 10-minute session with 12 of them on track, and they then get whittled down to the top 6 for Q3. And with how long the lap is here at Misano, the drivers tend to only get 1 lap in the 5-minute Q3 session that sets the top 6 for the grid. So once a driver is knocked out of the session, that is their time, and that is where they will sit on the grid. They will not be able to go and set further times and improve. They must remain in that position, and that's where they will be starting the race. As you can see, we have the traditionally slow outlap by these drivers. They don't want to be taking any life out of the tyres unnecessarily with a warm-up lap. It's not going to take long for them to get up to temperature. I must say the office that I have here at Misano is fantastic for overseeing that part of the circuit that the trucks are going through now, actually. You can see them make their way all the way down the back straight from just behind the grandstand, hard onto the brakes and then back up the hill. And you really get an idea of the camber of the left-hander as they make that run back up. But it's a wonderful vantage point here, just over the start-finish line. And it's safe to say it's nicely air-conditioned as well, so that certainly makes things a lot better. It's a bit of a deal-breaker sometimes. But right now, they make their way down the back straight. Norbert Kish on his way down to the fast right-hander at Curvone, but of course not at racing speed just yet. He's got Jochen Hahn just behind him, Steffi Halm next up in 3rd place. Steffi had a fantastic campaign in 2025. It was wonderful to see her and that Iveco going so well. Every single race weekend she just seemed to be getting faster and faster. Started really well actually at Misano here, if I remember rightly. Just trying to regain access to my old point standings for the previous season. But obviously a very dominant performance by Norbert Kish to win his 5th title in a row last year. But now we get things underway, and Norbert Kish crosses the line to start his first flying lap of the campaign to go and try and win his 8th championship title, his 6th on the bounce. Jochen Hahn chases him down, Steffi Halm next up. You can see just how hot the circuit is as well. So much heat haze everywhere. Like, that wasn't particularly a wide camera shot, but it's so hazy, so warm, it's lovely. René Reinert has just blown past the commentary box window here, with Antonio Albacete just behind. Antonio's team maintaining the wonderful colour scheme that they brought with them last season, with the dark blue primary colour on the truck with the yellow and red flashes, of course, for Antonio being a Spanish driver. There's Norbert Kish, driver to beat as ever, and he's currently just making his way into the long left-hander, trying to just make his lap as smooth as possible. Of course, these guys will be taking it easy in the first session. Some of the Titan drivers that we have will very often just take it a little bit slower in the first session to make sure they get through into that top 12. They have ultimate confidence that they can do so. But on track we have Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, René Reinert and Antonio Albacete, the top 5 leading us around. Clemens Hecker has just gone past the commentary box window in that new truck that they've got for this season. Luke Garrett has an interesting change of branding on his truck as well. We'll get to that as time goes on. He's changed away from the black, yellow and blue scheme that he had, which before that he changed away from the orange scheme he used to have. Seems to like refreshing it every year. Let's see what the first fast lap of 2026 has in store for us then, as Norbert Kish heads around the final corner and he crosses the line at full chap. Looks great out of the window, and his first fast lap is a 2:02.3 for Norbert Kish. At the moment that puts him nearly 0.6 of a second ahead of Jochen Hahn, and over a second clear of Steffi Halm. But the three of them, I'm sure, will be very comfortable with those first laps. 2:03.3 is definitely not slow around here. As you can see at the top of the screen, Bradley Smith will have his lap time deleted for hitting a penalty marker. You'll notice around the circuits that we have these large sort of bollards that are big foam penalty markers. They define a little bit more clearly the edges of the circuit, the track limits, if you will. And if a driver hits one of those and runs it over, then they are considered as breaching track limits, and their lap time associated will get deleted. John Newell across the line then, Jonathan Andre just following him, and then Stefan Fass as well, number 24. At the moment, Fass 2.2 seconds down, just ahead of Jonathan Andre, 2.5 seconds down. He's one of the two race-by-race entrants we have this weekend. You can see, actually, Bradley Smith well aware that he's had that lap time deleted as Lucas Hahn goes fastest. Wow! Lucas Hahn in the Iveco, another one of the race-by-race entrants, goes quickest with a 2:02.2. Fantastic lap by Lucas. He's really blown everyone out of the water with that one. Mark Taylor goes third fastest now. René Reinert has gone fourth, 1,000th of a second behind him. A colleague of mine in commentary recently told me that 0.5 of a second is the time it takes you just to close your eye when you blink. So that's the tiny margins that we're dealing with here. As you've seen, Bradley Smith's lap time has gone from the left-hand side of your screen. They've now reverted back to his outlap, which was a 3 minutes 46, and quite frankly, that's not going to cut the mustard. So Bradley was slowing down out of the way of Lucas Hahn, and he's going to just do another slow lap now because there's still 8 minutes left in the session. So he's going to slow it down and then go again for another lap time. Stefan Kirsch, by the look of it, is going for consecutive laps. He's currently in 13th place. You need to get into the top 12 to move through into the next part of the session, into Q2. And as you may see on the left-hand side, if our graphics team will kindly do me the honours, you'll see a green section on that timing tower on the left, which will show you all of the drivers that will go through once the session comes to a close. We tend to have a couple of minutes here and there where the drivers will obviously wait in the pit lane for the next session. They will line up in the order that they just finished in. So for Q2 at the moment, it will be Lucas Hahn going to the front of the order. There's Antonio Albacete, 6th fastest at the moment, 0.7 of a second off Lucas. Not sure if he's going to go for another lap. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's peeling into the pit lane on the left-hand side. As you see, the start-finish straight, quite barren of trucks right now. Norbert Kish has come into the pit lane. Jochen Hahn just behind him as well, in that lovely-looking Iveco. It looks so good in the sunshine here. John Newell also got a lap time deleted, so he's having to go again. There's Albacete going by us in the pit lane, and there is Jochen Hahn on your screen. He'll be quite pleased with that first lap. René Reinert also in the pit lane. Let's not forget that's an ex-Norbert Kish truck as well, an ex-Revace racing machine. There's Stefan Fass on screen. Another new livery for the Tanked Pool 24 squad this season. Can't quite get my words out today. But the Tanked Pool 24 Freightliner looks gorgeous as ever, and we're hoping for their sake that it's just as reliable or more reliable this season. They certainly had a lot of teething issues with it at the start of the championship. But they certainly had pace. I mean, I remember at the Slovakia ring last season, that truck was straight out of the gates, rapid in the Chrome class, did a wonderful job. And speaking of the Chrome class at the moment, just next to the driver's numbers on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see little C and T next to them. They're not our terms and conditions. They're actually the classes that the drivers are in. So Lucas Hahn in Chrome, Norbert Kish Titan, Mark Taylor Chrome, René Reinert in Titan, you get the rest. So at the moment, there's 2 Chrome drivers with a good 6 or 7 Titan drivers between them and their nearest competitor. They have a separately scored championship, so there's the overall championship with everybody included. And then the Chrome drivers have their own FIA title as well. We also have another very exciting award to join the campaign going forward this season, which we will mention during our race broadcast later on this afternoon. There is Jochen Hahn sat waiting in the pits. He'll be sat there for a bit, just trying to cool down. There's a slight breeze here at Misano today, but I can tell you it's definitely not making things cool. It's still very, very warm. There's Jonathan Andre, one of 2 race-by-race entrants that we have with us here at Misano. He very often joins us here at Misano, actually. It's good to have him back. He's always got a smile on his face, says Jonathan. Sasha Lenz has crossed the line. He's going to try and set another lap to improve as well. And a reminder there that all of our trucks race on 100% renewable HVO diesel, so you won't see any emissions, any black smoke that some people still seem to expect in truck racing. You won't see any of that from us. You can see the speed that Luke Garrett was doing there coming into the final couple of corners. Bradley Smith across the line. He's going to set a lap that will hopefully be more representative, and he moves himself inside the top 10. Really good stuff from Bradley Smith. Nice job there. At the moment, we have Stefan Faas right on the cusp. Jonathan Andre, Stefan Kirsch, Luke Garrett and Clemens Hecker will currently be going out of the session and be locked into 13th to 16th on the grid. There is Stefan Kirsch, currently 14th. That's why he's putting in more laps now to make sure that he can try and move further up the order. As you see, a number of drivers sat in the pit lane. Sasha Lenz has improved to 3rd position overall. He'll be really pleased with that. But with the brand new truck this weekend, Clemens Hecker's team haven't really been able to do any testing. I was speaking to Hans Mollenhoff earlier and asking him how it goes. He said they've got a different brake system on the thing this year. They've got different suspension settings. So it's all very new to Clemens. He's having to sort of relearn the truck a little bit. He can't go into everything with the exact same confidence that he would have had in the Minna truck, the previous machine that they were racing in. So he's got to take it steady in this truck this time around and just build up that confidence gradually. Obviously, when you're driving a 5-ton racing machine, that's easier said than done. You know, you can't just tell somebody, get confident. But these drivers know what they're doing. They've done this for a long time now, so they know when to push the buttons, when to really dial it back slightly. And Clemens Hecker, as you can see now, is actually dialing it back. I think he's going to try and cool it down for another fast lap. Sitting bottom of the pile at the moment. He's half a second off the truck ahead as well. So it may be 1 or 2 rounds where we see Clemens starting to just learn this truck and get used to it. Certainly is a wonderful looking machine as well. You've got the very boxy nature of the Scania cab. Looks very, very square compared to the Ivecos and the MANs. He's crossed the line again to set off for another fast lap. Jonathan Andre was just behind him there, the unmistakable Dayglow yellow on the Lion Truck racing machine. The other race-by-race entrant at the moment is actually fastest in Q1, Lucas Hahn. There he is, there's him and his team. He'll be absolutely over the moon with that. Obviously having to wait briefly while the next session will be getting going very soon. The team will be having a good buzz around that truck, to be fair, making sure that it's ready to go for Q2 on top of that. And it certainly clicked for him, didn't it? Around this lap. There is John Newell on screen at the moment. Currently 11th, so he is going through into Q2, but you will see that sometimes the drivers, they will come straight into the pits when they're confident that they've made it through and that they're not having to go and set new laps. But of course, the drivers that are just on the cusp in 10th, 11th, 12th, they have to make sure that they stay out on the circuit so that if they need to set another lap, almost in self-defense, then they are on the circuit to do so. So John isn't going to be taking the life out of the tyres. He's not going to be shredding it. He's just taking his time, making sure that he's got laps. He might go for a fast lap now, although that run out of the final corner tells me otherwise. It does certainly sound like he's gunning it down the start-finish straight as he goes past us here. He may as well just try and improve on that final lap, just in case. 2 drivers just need to improve slightly and they could knock him out of Q1, meaning he will then not join us for Q2. You can see there he is really gunning it now. The back end kicking out slightly. There's Luke Garrett coming into the last couple of corners. Haven't seen Luke much this weekend yet, but hopefully will do as the weekend goes on. Like Louise and I were saying earlier, it's been flat out with interviews since we arrived. Obviously a different role for me this year, doing more interviews and presenting than previous. Usually you guys didn't have to suffer through looking at my face in front of the camera. You just had to listen to my awful voice instead. But we've got Stefan Faas on the cusp of it at the moment in 12th position. He's got John Newell, the man on the screen, just ahead in 11th place. Then Bradley Smith inside the top 10. The rest of the qualifiers, Steffi Halm, 9th place. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in 8th position. Then Antonio Albacete in 7th. Jochen Hahn is 6th with René Reiner in 5th. Mark Taylor 4th, Sasha Lenz 3rd, Norbert Kish 2nd, and Lucas Hahn in 1st. Now, even though those drivers are going through into Q2, those positions at the moment, other than getting them into Q2, mean absolutely nothing for the final grid. Sure, it gets them further into the session, but doesn't set them in that position until they get knocked out. There's Stefan Kirsch round the final corner. Can he improve on his time? Best lap so far is a 2:05, and he has improved, I believe. No, doesn't look like it, actually. It did come up saying that he'd done a better final sector there, but no. He did a 2:06.4, and his best was a 2:05.2, so no improvement there from Stefan Kirsch. The sector times just went nuts on my timing screen then, and then he did a much better final sector than he'd done before. But no. But what we're going to do is go down into the pit lane, and Louise is on standby for us.
Okay, so Tim, can you talk us through this procedure when they come into the pit? What have you got to do when these trucks come through here?
So pretty much now it's Q1, so then the top 12 will go through to the next round. Yeah. So we'll set a sort of, not a push lap, so we're at like 90% at the minute, and then we just save our tyres now because the trucks are that big and that heavy. Yeah. So we are just saving tyres. So this is why like the guys in like P10, they're still fighting to get into that next round, and then probably same again in Q2. It's a little bit tighter, like it's 0.5 to P2, so it's really tight today. That
is very good. And how do you feel when it comes in and you've got to do it? What's the feelings going through your head?
I'm happy when we don't have to do anything. We got some spare parts because we got a little problem, but I think we got to the bottom of it after FP2. Yeah. But hopefully there's nothing going wrong. So.
Tim, thank you so much. Chaz, back to you.
Much, Louise. Of course, the first person of the season to interview is the other northerner in the paddock. It's fantastic to hear from Tim Frost. Lovely, lovely guy. Always happy to help us out, and yeah, he's always good in front of the camera. There is Casino holding the door open, hoping to cool Antonio Albacete down a little bit, because I imagine in those cabs right now it is mighty warm. I say that from an air-conditioned office, but flipping heck, I know how hot it is out there. So in those cabs it may be mighty, mighty toasty. But right now we have just the final couple of trucks making their way back into the pit lane. But going through, we'll have Lucas Hahn, Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz, Mark Taylor, René Reiner, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete, who's on screen now, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Steffi Halm, Bradley Smith, John Newell, and Stefan Faas. But Stefan Kirsch on screen now and making his way into the pit lane will unfortunately not be going through into Q2. It will be just a few moments and then we will resume the action. It looked like Jonathan Andre went through another lap, actually. He's just gone through turn 9 and back up the hill. There we have Luke Garrett just coming down the pit lane. You can see Sasha Lenz moving towards the end of the pit lane as well. The drivers will be asked to get to the end of the pit lane one at a time. They usually will go in championship order for the rest of the season in Q1. But then from Q2 and Q3 onwards, they will line up at the end of the pit lane in the order they just finished the session. So we should have Lucas Hahn at the front of the queue, then Norbert Kish, then Sasha Lenz, and then Mark Taylor. Stefan Kirsch has just brought his truck into the garage underneath the commentary box here. Vantage points are plenty around here at Misano. There's so many lovely places to go and watch the racing here. Especially when it's as sunny as it is today. John Newell will be quite relieved to have gotten through into Q2. Hopefully he hasn't taken too much life out of the tyres. Speaking of the tyres, of course, Goodyear have a new product for us this year. They have now a 60% sustainable tyre, improving on the previous season's 55% sustainable material tyre. So the majority of the materials used in that tyre are now completely sustainable, and of course they strive to increase that number year on year, and we had a good chat with Davide Califano from Goodyear just yesterday. You'll see that clip over the course of the weekend. Lots of interviews done yesterday, so many people to speak to with great messages to pass on. And it's certainly been a hive of activity as soon as we arrived here at the track. It's been really, really good fun so far. You can see from the flags there's a slight breeze at the moment. It's not, like I say, too much to keep it cool, but definitely is helping a little bit. There's Jonathan Andre. New front bumper on that truck for this year, I believe. They've got different aerodynamics on the front of it, slightly different setup. You could argue that aerodynamics don't make that much of a difference when it's a piece of fiberglass on the front of a 5-ton racing machine, but airflow is always important in motorsport. So whatever the teams do to make it work for them is what they want to do. There's Mark Taylor's number 81 machine. The MTL Logistics logo on it. Mark taking over the business in the last couple of years. It's always good to see his dad, Alan, here as well, and everyone from the team. Alan, oh so accommodating, bless him. But as you can see, we have now a quiet moment while everybody gets a chance to breathe before the next part of the session into Q2. Everyone enjoying the sunshine up there on the terrace at the top. There is the NWT fan club for John Newell. They'll be their guests for the weekend. That's one of the cool things, is that you do see these groups of guests for each team all wearing their team clothing as the weekend goes on. You see them all making their way around and all enjoying themselves, of course. They always have a good smile on their face. There's a lot of fantastic brands and teams all sort of come together for events like this, and you see so much just positivity from it all. It's great to be back in the paddock and feel the buzz. Happy to say that I'm scheduled to be on site for a number more rounds this season, starting with, of course, Misano this week, and then hoping to be back on site at Slovakia Ring in a week's time. The start of the season coming around very, very quickly. And then moving on to the Nürburgring, the Truck Grand Prix, further down the line. And we now wait for the trucks to make their way round to begin their fast laps. And everybody peels out at the end of the pit lane now to crack on and get the job done. And everybody taking a slow out lap, as you'll expect. They don't want to put too much temperature in the brakes, the water-cooled brakes. They don't want to put too much temperature into the tyres. They don't want to overdo anything. You have to be very, very careful. Because you need the truck at perfect operating temperature in many regards, whether that's engine temperature, brakes, tyres, even the driver. When you go for that fast lap, you want everything to be just at a good baseline so that when you push the truck like mad for that fastest time you can possibly get, it's not going to lose performance by being too hot in any regard. Everybody making their way just up the hill now. Stefan Fass at the, well, I was going to say the tail of the train actually, but I think Bradley Smith should be behind him on circuit, but because Bradley was out on the circuit so long in Q1, I think, yeah, they just took a moment to make sure everything was spot on before sending him back out. He is around there. But everybody just taking their time. They're leaving a bit of a gap as well to drivers in front to make sure that obviously they have that space to drive into on their lap, just in case they are quicker than the truck in front of them. There's Steffi Helm, hoping to have another season like she did last year, actually. She's certainly going to be fired up for this one to put in a solid performance again. She's got a number of podiums and great performances in 2025. There is René Reinert. He took a number of race victories last season. I think 4 race victories in the end. He was the second most winningest driver. As much as I hate that phrase, he was the second most winningest, let's say. Now chasing him down, the likes of Lucas Hahn, Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz, Mark Taylor next up. Jochen Hahn on circuit as well, just crossing the line now. Antonio Albacete also out there. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has been a little bit under the radar so far, but I'm surprised that he's not been setting some of the fastest times. He's been really fired up for this season. So I'm excited to see what he makes of it as the season continues. And across the line, Bradley Smith now just completes the set as they all make their way through. But Norbert Kish is hoping to go back to the top of the times. It might have been a sign that the circuit was actually improving over that first session with other drivers going quicker, but as Tim Frost rightly pointed out to us, they don't go at 100% in Q1. They know if they've got the pace to roughly get through, then they'll obviously go at 90% to make sure that they can at least get by the session. You could just see for a moment there, actually, where the Iveco badge is on Lucas Hahn's truck. Just look at where the grille is on Norbert Kish's truck as well. You see how hollow the machines are. A lot of the time, the radiators are mounted really high up and really far back underneath the cab. Underneath where the driver sits, the trucks are almost hollow through the middle. It's amazing. Straight to the radiator and obviously straight to the engine, mid-mounted in these things, so the crossweight is actually very good. But of course, then you put the cab on top and you've got over 3 of the 5 tons over the front axle. It's always good to see the Jose Eduardo, well, I was going to say the Rodriguez family, 3 generations of drivers in their family, of course. Eduardo Rodriguez is actually racing in Spain this weekend. Jose Rodriguez is here. I bumped into him in the pit lane earlier. We've had both of them on track with us at some point in the ETRC. Now, all 3 of them once shared the circuit at Jarama, which was the first time in any motorsport, I think, that there's been 3 generations of the same family on the same track at the same time. Norbert Kish fastest then, 2:01.8, so he's really turned the wick up in this qualifying session in Q2, just making sure that he remains at the top here. Jochen Hahn's gone second, Antonio Albacete is third, Steffi Halm fourth, Lucas Hahn fifth, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez currently in 6th place. The top 6 go through here into Q3. We have René Reinert, John Newell, Sasha Lenz and Stefan Faas currently not going through. I know that Sasha Lenz will definitely be going for another lap there. He will not want to sit there. But we've got a number of drivers right on the cusp there, actually. It's quite close. If you look at Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, actually, in 6th position, he's only 33 thousandths of a second ahead of René Reinert, so René wouldn't have to improve much to move up a position on the grid and obviously get himself into Q3, because otherwise he will be locked into P7, and that will be the end of his session. So nothing else doing for him in that regard, unless he goes for another fast lap. Now, they may have 3 minutes 40 left on the clock, but they get chance to do another lap as long as they cross the line to do that fast lap before the timer hits 0. So once the timer hits 0, the next time you cross the line is the last lap completed in the session. So even if you cross that line with 2 seconds left to go, you can finish that lap and it will still count. So René, I'm sure, will slow it down now and cool the truck down a little bit before going again. John Newell has pushed forward to try and get some clear air on circuit, I believe. Yeah, he's just overtaken Norbert Kish. As you can see now, he just wants to get that clear air in front of him so that he can go for a fast lap at a pace that's comfortable to him. But he's got Lucas Hahn sat right in front of him now as well. Sasha Lenz, as mentioned, continuing on as he works with John Newell this season. You can see the NWT branding on the windscreen banner as Sasha kicks the back end out on the way into turn 1. They do run a lot of rear brake bias on these machines, so it sort of pulls in the braking zone rather than pushes forward on the cab and on the front axle. They try and drag the weight back from the rear axle. They have 4 wheels and 4 tyres over that rear axle as well, so a lot of grip back there despite having so much less weight. There's René Reinert going for another lap as well. Norbert Kish is in the pit lane. He's just made his way down. Baloo Jr., the #1 machine, the MAN, looking resplendent as ever in the Italian sunshine. Jochen Hahn also in the pit lane. He's just pulled up below our commentary box. So on the circuit, we still have a good number of drivers hoping to make their way through into Q3. Antonio Albacete, 3rd position onwards, all on track right now. Steffi Halm, Lucas Hahn, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, René Reinert, Bradley Smith, John Newell, Sasha Lenz, Stefan Faas, and Mark Taylor. Taylor, I believe, had his lap deleted, so that's why it shows that he's 26 seconds down. I'm not sure John Newell is going to keep his current lap as well. I've just seen him absolutely clatter a penalty marker out of the window. The penalty marker at the corner that we're just about to see. Steffi Halm just making her way around there. And just breezes past the penalty marker on the exit. That particular penalty marker will be absolutely flattened by the end of the weekend. You get at least a few trucks per race running wide through there. But right now, we've got a number of drivers just finishing their laps. And as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, they've got the top 6 that will go through into the next session. Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm, Lucas Hahn, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. What about Sasha Lenz? He moves up into 6th place, so he gets himself into those top 6 positions, but he's only there by about half a tenth of a second. Mark Taylor next up across the line. Can he improve and move himself into the top 6? No, he goes up into 10th position. There's movement there though. Lucas Hahn goes 3rd. Moves inside the top 6. Steffi Halm back into the top 6 now as René Reinert moves up into 3rd place. A lot of movement going on. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez not able to improve on that previous lap. Stefan Faas has crossed the line. But Stefan, unfortunately, just staying in 12th place. Steffi Halm there in 6th position. She's right on the cusp now as well. There's only 1/10 of a second between 6th and 7th. And she's hit the penalty marker in turn 8, actually, and had that lap time deleted anyway. So I'm not sure if that's going to be her fast lap or the one that she's just done there, because she might actually drop out of the top 6 with that she has. Bradley Smith has gone through, actually, and that's why he's gone up to 6th position. Bradley Smith, the Krone driver, first season in this new truck, the ex-Antonio Albacete machine, and he's got himself into 6th place, up into Q3. I can see his dad smiling from here. I can hear it. Tony will be absolutely loving it. Stefan Faas there having to move out of the way of John Newell. He was thinking he was out of the way on the right-hand side, but Stefan's gunning it for one more lap, because at the moment he's only sat in 12th position. We know that Freightliner has more pace in it. But talk of the town at the moment will be Bradley Smith getting through into that Q3. That is a fantastic result for them. There is Stefan Faas then, making his way down to the very fast right-hander at Covone. And then he's going to go hard into the brakes. You'll notice, any of you that have just seen us racing it here at Misano for the first time, we don't use the full layout on the way all the way around that final sector. We actually cut in for 2 sharper corners. Mark Taylor has just crossed the line, and I don't think he improved. No, he did a 2:04.2, and with the checkered flag out, that's going to be the end of his session. Sasha Lenz has just come through the pit lane. He'll be gutted to have improved on that time, but only end up in 8th place. Here's Stefan Faas to the line, crosses the time in line now, and it is an improvement, 2:05.491. However, still not enough to move him away from that 12th position. So that should be that, I believe. I don't think there's anybody else. We've got Louise down in the pit lane with Jochen Hahn.
Okay, come on then. Let's go and have a quick chat. Jochen, how was that for you?
What?
How was that for you?
Yeah, so now we are for the real-time practice. We are on the 2nd place.
Yeah.
Small gap behind Kiss. So, yeah, now we push and we will see. We can close the gap.
It's close. It's a half a second. It's very, very close.
Half a second, it's a wall, you know. But no, now we put everything on the table, and then we will see.
Yeah. Are you feeling confident?
Yeah, I'm calm. Take care. It is like it is.
You've got this. You've got this. I'm rooting. Okay, let's go. There we go. Back to you, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Louise. Hyping up the drivers as ever. But yeah, Jochen always has a good answer for everything. He knows what the score is by now. It's everybody chasing down Norbert Kish. I'm sure that he'll be still happy to be joining him on the front row of the grid for now. But I think the talking point of that session, Bradley Smith, 6th position, going through into Q3. Like I say, you can hear his dad smiling from here. He'll be absolutely buzzing with that. A new truck, a lot of uncertainty, of course, at the end of last season. Don't Touch Racing moving away from the championship. After Bradley had his first full-time campaign with them, he showed such great promise. And now he's making sure that he follows through on that and, well, puts his own team truck, the Smith Racing machine, onto the top 6 positions. He'll be, even if he finishes now in 6th place, he will still be absolutely buzzing, I'm sure. It's really, really cool to see that happen. And Bradley, I know, will be beaming inside that truck, but he's still got more work to do, of course. He's still got another couple of laps to do. In fact, maybe just the 1 lap, actually, as they make their way through into Q3. It's only a 5-minute session, so not long to get times in at all. So we'll have to see whether Bradley can, of course, gain another position and move up into 5th place. Either way, it's very exciting to see. The top 6 that we will have going through then will be Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, René Reiner in 3rd place, Lucas Hahn and Antonio Albacete, with Bradley Smith in there with them. So 2 Chrome drivers for the first qualifying session of the season. We'll have 2 Chrome drivers making their way through into Q3. That's really, really exciting to see, considering we have 7 Titan drivers, so we have enough Titan drivers to completely fill that group. I think it's very, very interesting. The trucks now make their way out of the end of the pit lane. The 5 minutes begins, and unless they put in quite a fast outlap here, then they will only get that first and only lap under their belt before the end of the session, because it's almost a 3-minute outlap here. And of course, as you've seen, the lap times are just over 2 minutes, a 2-minute 1.8 for Norbert Kish in that previous session. So they're quite long laps around Misano here, 4-kilometre circuit. Next week we go to Slovakia Ring, where it's almost 3 minutes. I think it's over 3 minutes a lap. It's an insanely long lap time. There's 1,000,001 corners, which makes life a lot easier when you commentate somewhere lovely like Misano that's a much shorter lap. We get, I think, 12 lap races around here this weekend as well. So plenty of opportunity for drivers to overtake and outdo one another. But right now, all eyes are focused on the top 6 from Q2. I'm delighted to see what Bradley and the team think of that once they complete this session. Like I say, even if he finishes in 6th place now, he will be so, so pleased. But Lucas Hahn as well, let's not forget Lucas. Let's not let Bradley's performance completely overshadow the fact that Lucas was fastest in Q1. He's a race-by-race entrant, he's in the Chrome class, but we know just how good Lucas is. And he is now up there with this top 6. That's fantastic company to be in, isn't it? You've got 7-time champion Norbert Kish, 6-time champion Jochen Hahn, 3-time champion Antonio Albacete, multiple race winner and stalwart of the championship René Reiner, Lucas Hahn, the best race-by-race entrant we've had for years, and a consistent front runner in the championship. And then Bradley Smith making waves in his first couple of seasons, did some, well, a few, I didn't want to call them temporary rounds with Don't Touch Racing, but he did a couple of rounds with them in the 2024 season in a second MAN that the team was running alongside Andre Kurzim. Now, of course, after a full season with Don't Touch Racing, he's now back with the Smith Truck Racing team. Okay, one more attempt to cross the line then for these drivers. They're crossing the line with 2.5 minutes left roughly, so if they don't quite get this first lap right, all of them, I believe, will be able to put in another fast lap However, because the truck will already be at quite high temperature, the tyres will be at high temperature, that second lap is almost guaranteed not to be an improvement on the first. So this one lap is going to really stand out to them, and they need to make it work. There's a lot of pressure in this environment for them. Have to see whether they can perform under said pressure, but that's the design of this qualifying format. That's the design of this feature, so to speak. René Reiner, I'm sure, will be happy to be straight back into the mix amongst these drivers in Q3. He had a really successful 2025 season, did René. He took that first race victory at the Lausitzring last season. A very interesting circuit for us to head to in support of the DTM Championship. It was certainly an interesting weekend. I was gutted not to be on site for that one, but it was quite a cramped environment, I'm hearing. But right now, the drivers head their way up over the top of the hill and back down towards where all the grandstands are at the end of the lap. Norbert Kish through the heat haze. He's in there somewhere. Reaches that 100 miles an hour, uses all 1,200 horsepower. And keeps it nice and smooth around there. It's easy to wash off a lot of speed. And then onto the brakes into a curved braking zone. You've got 2 apexes to clip in there. The first one's only about 45 degrees, but then you've got this hairpin here where you've really got to tuck the front of the truck in. Be careful as you get on the power. Make sure you're in the right gear. Don't spin up the rear tyres. Don't let it hang the back end out around the next corner. And then through the penultimate corner of the lap, you've got to make a good run onto the start-finish line. So Norbert Kish crossed the line, 2:01.8 he did in a previous session. So 2:02.1 this time round, a 2:03.1 for Jochen Hahn. So clearly the track temperature rising has made a bit of a difference. 2:02.8 for Lucas Hahn. He gets himself onto the provisional front row of the grid. René Reiner goes 4th fastest with a 2:03.3. Bradley Smith goes 5th fastest ahead of René Reiner. Actually, René knocked down by Albacete and Smith at the end of the session there. But as you've seen, the clock has only just hit 0 now, and the checkered flag will come out. So we still have this lap left to go, and it looks like all of them are on fast laps, actually. There's only half a tenth of a second between Lucas Hahn in 2nd place and Antonio Albacete in 3rd. There we have Jochen Hahn 4th at the moment, ahead of Bradley Smith, who's ahead of René Reiner. He'll be really pleased, like I say, to be ahead of that. Norbert Kish has pulled it over to one side. He knows that he has set a very good lap time there. He may be a little bit slower than he went in Q2, but he knows that he's 3/4 of a second clear of Lucas Hahn. Up the hill they go. Lucas very careful of the penalty markers there. Antonio Albacete is going slowly. He's given up on his lap, so 3rd will be his best result. Bradley Smith had to tighten the line slightly there to make sure that he didn't go all the way out wide and clip Antonio. But running down the hill towards us then, Jochen Hahn, René Reiner, Lucas Hahn, and then Bradley Smith will be just in the background of shot. Jochen will really want to get back onto the front row of the grid, but like I said, it's going to be difficult because the truck is up to high temperature now after that first flying lap. It's very rare that we see a second lap that's actually an improvement on the first. Let's see, gets it tucked in nicely at the hairpin, lets it run slightly wide to make sure he uses all of the road, but the next corner is a very sudden left-hander, so you have to be ready for the truck to roll one way, then the other, really manage the weight transfer from one corner to the next. And around the final corner he comes, you can hear it out of the window, powering up, crosses the line. Is it an improvement by Jochen Hahn? No, it's almost identical lap times, but it's a 2:03.180. For Jochen. Doesn't look like any improvements from any drivers there. Bradley Smith crosses the line, and he is 4 tenths down on his initial time. So that means the first pole position of the season will go to the reigning champion Norbert Kish. Lucas Hahn, though, in his first weekend of 2026, joins him on the front row ahead of Antonio Albacete. Jochen Hahn on the 2nd row as well, on the same side of the grid as his son. Last time we had that, they came together at Autodrom Most, if I remember rightly, so let's hope no repeat of that family drama once again. Bradley Smith, though, 5th place, with no disrespect to any of the other drivers at all. That is a real talking point from qualifying here today at Misano. Bradley Smith, 5th position on the grid in a brand new truck to them. Obviously a very well prepared truck, it must be said, being an ex-Antonio Albacete machine, but Wow. Fantastic stuff. He's ahead of René Reinert, who finished that session in 6th. But like I say, René will be pleased with 6th position as well, because it means that at least he's up there at the sharp end once again. But interesting to see the likes of Steffi Halm and obviously Sasha Lenz out of that session, not making it through into Q3. But there's the man at the moment. Bradley Smith will be buzzing in that truck, I can tell you. Very excited to see a reaction from him. I'm going to have to go and see him after the session and just see if anyone will ever be able to manage to wipe the smile off his face. Not that we want them to. But there is your first pole sitter of 2026. Norbert Kish making his way down the pit lane. Jochen Hahn leading René Reinert and Lucas Hahn back into the pit lane as well. They're just heading down the back straight at this moment. And we will have the full results for you combined in just a few moments' time. And we'll look at exactly how everybody got on. It's going to look quite interesting, actually, because I've just been provided the times, and Steffi Halm actually went 0.3 of a second faster. So even though she didn't make it through into Q3, her Q2 time would have been enough to put her 4th on the grid instead of 7th. And the same can be said, actually, for Sasha Lenz just behind as well. He would have been 5th on the grid overall if the times that they set in the sessions were combined. So that's why it's an interesting format. You have to set the time at the right time to go through into Q2 and then, of course, Q3. And those drivers did have the pace, but unfortunately just not in the right part of the session. The fans there making sure that they either brave the sun or stay in the shade. Our wonderful marshals collecting whatever debris and bits there may be on the circuit. Penalty markers and all sorts. Without them, we wouldn't be able to go racing, so it's great to have so many wonderful marshals around the circuit today, especially in this heat as well. Let's have a look at the results then of the first qualifying session of 2026. Once again, Norbert Kish fastest, but 2:02.1, a wonderful, wonderful drive by him. 3/4 of a second clear of anybody else. Lucas Hahn's second, he'll join him on the front row. Then it's Antonio Albacete and Jochen Hahn. Bradley Smith, 5th place ahead of René Reinert. Then 2 Titan drivers, Steffi Halm and Sasha Lenz. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Mark Taylor are next up. They complete the top 10. And then we have John Newell and Stefan Faas on row 6. They're ahead of Jonathan Andre and Stefan Kirsch. Luke Garrett and Clemens Hecker both dialing in the new trucks in this first round, so unfortunately not able to convert the pace just yet. But still, straight off the bat, shows us the exciting format for this qualifying session this year. It's always good fun to see the Q1, Q2, Q3 format working well. Certainly mixes up the times, mixes up the grid. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez only starting 9th on the grid for the race later on today. I'm intrigued to see how he can do from there. He's quite a hard charger, is Jose Eduardo. So he's almost guaranteed to make up places, but with the drivers ahead of him, I mean, he's going to have a lot of hard work. Mark Taylor, 10th on the grid in that one. He won't be too chuffed with that. The 2025 Chrome champion. He's got John Newell just behind him. Stefan Faas. There's quite a gap back there, actually, to Stefan Faas in the end of that Q2 session. And we're just looking at the Andre, Kirsch, Garrett and Hecker battle as well. There's quite a gap there. That's going to be all from me for this qualifying session, but I'm delighted to hand back down to Louise, who's with our first pole sitter of 2026, Norbert Kish.
Here he is, Norbert Kish. How are you? Here we go, pole sitter once again. How's it feeling?
Feeling very good, very happy about the position. Yeah. But the session itself was a bit strange, you know, because in the last section, it became really slippery. And the lap times was really slow as well. I mean, my pole time is now more than a second, or like a second slower than the time I could do in free practice. And every turn was like almost sliding everywhere. So you had to be really, you know,
on it, careful.
Held back a little bit, you know,
Absolutely.
because if you pushed, if you tried to push, for sure there was no grip. So yeah.
But here we are.
A strange session, but absolutely happy.
There you are, the pole setter though. There you go. So I mean, we've seen your face a few times as the pole setter, haven't we? Really. So you know, here he is. You're not going to give anyone else chances here, you know, are you? You're just going to keep going with it, aren't you?
Yeah, I try to keep it that way for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to let you take a minute because I know it's very hot. But thank you so much and congratulations once again. Well done. Thank you very much. Guys, we're going to go to a best of pictures now, but we're going to continue the live stream soon. And of course, it's the next race. We'll see you shortly.